Good morning. Kathleen Saunders is with me, and Kathy has written a book about the new Eau Brink Cut in a book called 3 Million Wheelbarrows. I have scanned the book, and so quite interesting. But first of all, Kathy, welcome to the Town Hall, our historic Town Hall in Kings Lynn. The book is about the Eau Brink Cut, which is a relief to the ooze. But this is your book. I'll ask you a few questions, and perhaps you can give us an idea of where it came from. First of all, what is the book about?
Right, the story of the Eau Brink Cut is about a diversion to the River Great Ouse, which used to wander through marshland, but the cut was meant to be a diversion to it from the River Great Ouse straight to Kings Lynn. It was put in place because the river was very slow, particularly around this piece in marshland, and it was silting up very badly. That meant both that the water from up country that drained into it, the rainwater, couldn't get out, and there were a lot of floods. And also from this end, from the Kings Lynn end, the river was becoming very shallow, and it was very difficult indeed for the barges that were unloading cargo in the harbour to actually get up past this very shallow area up into the river, which took them through the tributaries to a huge area of the upper land. The difficulty was the shallow area around Tilney, where the river turned west instead of coming straight down to Lynn as it does now. Once it got to Wigan Hall, past Downham, Wigan Hall St Germans, it turned west and then sort of meandered around marshland.
Yes, there is a map in your book which does show the old course of the river and in some of the shallows. So I think that the maps in your book are very, very helpful.
Yeah, this particular map shows it quite well. The river is coming up here from Downham Market up through Wigan Hall St Germans, and originally it went right up here, right round marshland through Tilneys, Clinchwarton, edge of West Lynn here, right the way round to the port. The Eau Brink Cut took all of that away and put a cut straight through here. So you can imagine that if there's a lot of water coming up, the pressure was lost here, which meant it wasn't quite so strong going through here, which is where the harbour was. But once this was put in, the fear was that the current would be so strong that it would damage the harbour and the ships in the harbour, and it would go. Eventually, went off that way, and later on there was another cut which took it straight from here. But that was later on. So the conflict was: would this cause such a strong current that the harbour would be destroyed? And the fear was very real that would happen. And the Kings Lynn Corporation, as it was at the time, they were very concerned in keeping the integrity of the harbour. They thought that the increased currents would be very dangerous for ships.
In your book you very much describe the constant conflict between the harbour authorities and merchants and the landowners. The merchants from Kings Lynn, and we had the landowners. The merchants wanted to get goods up and down the river, and the landowners were constantly being flooded, and so they wanted the same thing, but it was coming from different aspects. And why were they at war, as it were?
Both sides employed their own engineers, and each engineer more or less agreed with the side that was employing them, unfortunately. And it wasn't resolved until both the Kings Lynn Corporation and the Bedford Level Corporation decided that they would put both engineers basically in a room to work it out, and then they would agree to whatever this joint engineering proposal was. That actually happened, and that's what led to the 1795 Eau Brink Act, which authorised the building of the Eau Brink Cut and the bridge across the river.
You've used the river as telling part of the story. Why did you find that? I found it interesting from my point of view because it's a third party. But why did you choose to use the river to tell the story?
From a writing point of view, it made it a lot easier to be able to explain some of the wider issues that were going on, because I had the river commentate on it and narrate about it. But it was also useful to be able to highlight some of the environmental issues that were involved in the story, and indeed still continue to be. The prospect of flooding happening if we don't look after the river and the water system is very critical. We're being told all the time that this is going to happen if we're not very, very careful on climate change. So I found that was also a useful way of bringing in that element as well.
Well, Kathy, it's been very interesting talking to you, and I'm sure I haven't covered nearly the sorts of things you know about it, but I hope that I've given people, especially local people, an interest in the book. So thank you very much for writing such an interesting book, and I wish you well, and good luck to you, and I hope it goes very, very well. You deserve it. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your interest. The book's available now from Marshland stores at Torrington St Clement, from the central stores at Wigan St Germans, and it will be available very shortly from the Groundworks Gallery here in Kings Lynn. That's in Purfleet Street opposite the Customs House. And it will be available soon from Waterstones, from Gerald's, and from Holt Books in Holt. And I'm hoping that other retailers will be taking it up very shortly. But in any case of difficulty, you can also order it from bittonbooks.co.uk, who are the distributors.